This is Old Man PHP. I create PHP video tutorials for the old guys who want to learn a new skill and compete with the young crowd. On my last video, which was part 2, this one being part 3, we were talking about how certain things you couldn't do in version 8, like specifically we talked about how, let's go here. We talked about how we could echo certain, let's say we did, I think it does with the B, and we'll do A, see in version 8, if I wanted to echo these things, I could have just said, because I could just say hold like this. All right, it'll run the function, you know, and B will give me well, if I put this, actually should be up here, but I want, if I wanted to just call it, instead of saying $B or $A, I could just say echo B and echo A. Remember that? And it will work in this, so I'm not going to show you the full thing because I don't have version 8, but it's out there. Anyway, I want to talk about variable, anonymous, and callable functions. Now, in the variable function, PHP will look for a function that evaluate the function, the variables for you in a normal way. You know, $A equals to 2, 3, and it'll evaluate it and give you, if you put in integer, it'll give you integer, and if you put in a string, it will give you the string, especially when you do the var dump to check things out. So in this situation, I want to show you function add. I'm going to use why is it add, what should we use? Add but? No, add who cares? Add all. And then you go init, because you want to make sure that A is an integer, and you also want to make sure that $B is an integer. Let's put this down here. Why is my window so small? And you know, you can put this all in one shot too, in one window, like I mentioned before. So let's do that. Let's do it. Let's put it here, and then we say something like return. Remember, return $A plus $B and semicolon. Remember how that works? By the way, I mentioned in the last video that this would be a let me put this over here, that this would be a semicolon. I'm sorry, I apologize. This is a colon, and of course this is a semi. This is semi. This is a full colon, two dots, and this is a semi, which is a dot and a comma. Okay, so I apologize for that. I meant to say colon. All right, so let's do this example. If I say $Todd, you can actually write it like this: variable function, which is kind of weird. Usually you notice that I've done this before. We're going to use the word Todd again, okay? And we can say add all like this, and then it'll take this function and assign it to this variable for you. And then you can run all stuff that's in here, right? And you could put the numbers here, like you could say 5, 10. I'm gonna put, let's see if we don't get no error from this right now. So let's see. Oh, sorry. We need to echo it. Echo $TOD. Did I save that? I think I did. I did not. Save. 15. See, remember you can do this, but you can also do it like this. You can say, let's get rid of this guy. Well, let's put a 1, 2, 3. Let's comment that out. You can actually run it like this. See, you actually assign the actual name of a function like this. See, instead of doing what we did here, you can put this in quotes, right, like that, and just give it the name like this. And what happens is on here, when you want to echo it out, you put it right there. That's where you put your information. You could say, let's do 10, 10, like that. Let me save it, make sure that I did. Run it. Why does it do that? 20, see? 20. This is a variable function. A variable function. Because you assign the name of the variable, and now all you need is the variable. Make that into like a function, which it is, and put your information in there, your parameters. See, you could do a lot with PHP. I hardly ever see people do it this way, but you can do it because sometimes you might be running some kind of an array, and maybe it has names of functions, just the names, and you can kind of do that. You can loop through it and do this and print it out like that. So you can also check if a function is callable, like if a function like this is, oh, wait a minute, is this callable? Are you sure it's going to work? You can check it out by doing, let's take this, like that. You can just say, look, I kept the declaration from the strict mode. Right now we're in strict mode. So if you wanted to call, like to see, hey, wait a minute, how you know, let's say if you didn't have any of this, but you had this somehow, another, I don't know, why would you do something like this without doing something with this? But if you wanted to check to see if it's callable, then all you have to do is say if there's, remember I told you there's thousands of, 1,000 built-in functions. Well, we have another one. It's called is. This is why it does compares things for you. So you can say is callable, like that, and then you put your two parentheses. Don't forget your last one, because this parenthesis belongs to this one, and these two, of course, together. So you can actually put the name of this variable, this one that you made, into a function. So you can just say $tot, right? And then I don't know. Let's do an echo. Let's echo something here. Let's say next time we're gonna make this screen a little bigger. Oof, that tricked me there for a second. All right, so we could just say echo $Todd. Let's do 20, 20. Semicolon. Let's close it up. That's part of that. See? Doesn't show you, but when you put it in, you saw how this one turned out. Anyway, you do it this way, or you can say else, just in case it don't work, right? Just put it on the same line. I'm going to show you that you can also do this. Not able to call the function. Don't forget your semicolon and don't forget your closing curly. Let's save this. Okay, let's see for make sure I spell that right. That goes to that is callable. Show is, and now it's going to tell you, hey, is this callable? Can I call this? And this is how you check. So if let me see, I said, run it. Boom, 40. Should have gave it a space there. How about we just put a space right here? You know, like doing 2. And that's it. That should do it. That should make it jump 2 lines. I hate this. All right, there goes 20 and 40. Because it says, oh, look, you can, this is callable. You can call this. You know, you already saw that I did that over here, but you can check, and this will help you check. If it wasn't, then you will get this message. Now, there's an anonymous function that you can assign a variable, right? So let's get rid of that. And we could say function, right? Excuse me. I'm going to assign that to a thing for a second. I just wanted to before. And let's do this, and then we're going to assign this, right? So we've got an anonymous function. We're going to say $Todd2 equals. Let's make some space here. See, basically what he's saying is, let's put a little space here. See how you don't have a name here? Well, what happens is this will become the actual function. This is what they call the anonymous function. This right here, because it doesn't have a name, but you can assign it to a variable. Make it into a variable function, which is cool, and which you can check using the is callable. All works together, right? So what you do is you say, oh, it could be, let's do a little space here, let's move this down a little bit. And how about if we do return? I know it's lame, these examples. And now remember one thing, because this is an anonymous function and you're assigning it to a variable, you must end this whole thing into a semicolon. So you got to put that semicolon. Normal function, you don't have to, because you're calling that function, and that function that you're calling has a semicolon. But in this situation, you're assigning an anonymous function to a variable, you must have it. Remember, every command line, because this actually becomes a command line. I mean, I could just do this. And just, come on, man. Let's get back up there. Like this, see? One whole command line. Let's put a space. So you gotta have that semicolon there. So if I wanted to echo something out of this, I could just say echo $TOT 5,10. Let's put a little space here. Let's save this. Oops, what happened here? Did I mess that up? Undefined variable TOT. What did I call? Oh, called it 2. There you go. Boom, 15, right? This is an anonymous function. And it'll call this in here. And within this anonymous function, you can have other functions calling each other within that function. Okay, so that's how that works. You know, you can even, you could say, let's say if we had, how about we do an example? Just, we could do this, x equal to X, get it? Used to be Twitter. Let's put a space here. And what I want to do is I want to echo this within this function. I know I'm gonna jump this down one line. Let's move this over. Let's say I wanted to write in, remember we talked about this, the outer scope, the inner scope. This is the inner scope, this is the outer scope. You can echo that, or can you? Where is it? X. Let's put that space there. We could do both. I guess we could get both of them. Let's see. 18. Did I misspell this? See, it's undefined because it can. This is the outer scope and this is the inner scope. It doesn't like it. Now, if this would have been in another function, like this, a function over, like a, what you call that, when you enclose a function with a function, then you could be able to read this because you're going to be calling that. And we saw that already in one of the videos. But if you wanted to get this information in here too, so you can, matter of fact, let's put a space here. We'll do the double. That will work. When I get this one little thing done. Okay, see, I gave it a little space there. So if I wanted to use this guy, then all I have to do is in here, just say, hey, oh man, I'm running, did I mention this before about scope? I'm going to be talking about the more of the global scope, global command like this, global. And what you're doing is, what I'm doing is I want to make sure that I am making this a global. So that means if it is a global, then it's going to be able to read this. Sign this. There you go, 20. Just in case you don't believe me, let's do it 40. See, 40. Or if you don't want to use this 1, 2, and 3, you can just even use the word use, which is kind of it's kind of good. I don't hardly ever use it, but it's there if you need it, because a lot of times I kind of use this global thing, but I kind of use it in the enclosed scope. I don't have to worry about, oh, some other people are going to be reading it. But so what happens is I go use, I get it, and in parentheses a command, right? It's a function. I want you to use this guy like this. See, you can close this. Let's change this to 60. Let's save it. Let's save it and let's run it. See, 60. Yeah, because he was able to, hey, use this within this, or if you take this out, use this. Isn't that fantastic? It is so good. So the use word is part of the closure syntax. Sorry. Remember when you have a function that covers another function, and you can do the assignment and all those things, then it becomes a closure. And by you doing this, it becomes, hey, I'm closing this. I want this to be used within this. So it's in a closure. Sorry. Every time I speak a lot, I get that, you know. Now, it simply makes your variable of the outer scope available inside the closure of your function, which is this one. Even enough, if this was a function here, and you're calling this from the outside, you're actually calling the function that's above. We showed you that already, then it will work. Because they'll say, oh, look, you ran it already. But you still would need to do some things like this. It's good stuff. This stuff here is very good, and I love doing this once in a while. It's not something that you would do all the time, but hey. Now let's talk about the callable callback function. This is like you can use uh, uh, one of those built-in functions called, let me see, let me spell that down just so you can make sure. Let's take that out. We'll say array underscore map, like this. You can map two functions. It's the actual function that you're using, and then you map the function with a value. So over here will be like the function name, and this will be like the value. So in this, that was pseudo. That's not that actual command, but I'm just showing you that you can do that. So we already talked about this function, right? Like the different types of functions that so far a little bit of it, because on the next videos I'm going to show you functions like that deep dive function, okay? But in this particular case, I'm going to show you that how this works. So what this function does is it sends each value of an array to a user-made function that you make up and returns an array with the new values given by the username function that you create. So let me see if I'm confusing you. This is how I'm talking about. This is I'm going to say array a equals to, remember we haven't talked about functions yet, but I could say something real quick. You can build an array by doing this. Array into parentheses, just like this. Or you can use this, like that. I know it's weird. This is what I'm talking about right here. And you can put stuff inside, right? So over here, we're going to put in some, I don't know, a bunch of numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That'll be good. Then semicolon. Remember, each line should have a semicolon. And in this situation, we're going to say array B. Let's spell that. Oops, a date. Wait a minute. And then you say array underscore map. And then, of course, in parentheses. Then, of course, you got your squiggly. The curly brace, that's always indicates that this, when you use a function, everything that's within this you do. All your commands and all kinds of stuff. So basically what you do is you take the function, right? And then you say the function element, right, will be something like then we say dollar. Let's do this word. And then this is within wait a minute. Hold it. I'm gonna do this. Gotta make sure I spell this right. Fun. See, it looks kind of weird to me. So you say function, and of course you're running a function. And then this is within the map. Sorry. And then you return let's put that in here. Let's see. What should we put inside here? Let's open it up like this. And let's return something. Let's move it to the one. Okay, return. And then you say dollar element. And you can say, let's use math. We haven't talked about that yet, but that means multiplication. I want you to multiply things by 2, right? And then you do close it up. Wait a minute, why is it? How did I? I'm confusing myself. This goes in here. This goes in here. All right, so this is what I want to do. So you say this part, if I make this jump, it wouldn't be so bad. See, if you put this in the same line, I guess why not? What the heck? Like this, and then take this. See, this is how I do things too. Sometimes when it gets confusing, I go, all right, put it on one line. So this belongs to this, right? This belongs to this. And of course, this belongs to the original of that. So now that I have that, I still need to give it values. So I could say comma, and then say dollar array A. And like this, let me see, let's put the space here so we can read it better. So function this, return this times 2 equal to this. So then when you print it out, you know, by the way, we could do echo or you could do print like this. But we're going to be talking about those a little later. Right now we got something called print R, which means I want you to print those arrays. So we're going to say print underscore R, and then say in parentheses dollar array A. This is so you can see the difference. And this one would be print underscore R, and we're gonna say dollar array B, like that. So let's see. Boom. 916. What did I do wrong? Why would it take that? Let me look at this closely. Let me see. Far element. We have this here. B will become the map. You're doing the function. You're doing the dollar element. You're doing the, this is your dollar element. Then you're doing your return. Then you're going to say element times 2. Then you say comma. You know something, this could have been put in another function. And then you say your dollar array B. This should work. Unexpected this. And why wouldn't it? Oh, you know what? I think it's because it doesn't like it to be an anonymous function. That doesn't make any sense. I'll tell you what, this is what we're going to do. We're going to take this out. Okay, take that out. Like this. Let's put it here. Now, let's make this what is it? Let's call this just like that. Let's move this over. Isn't it great? That becomes that. That becomes that. Semicolon. And then we're going to say this word. That should make it. We just blew. which is returning. We gotta understand why it was not working. Syntax error, unexpected that. Expecting what? Oh, this right here. See? Because it's a function and another function. That's good. Let's see. There you go. See, I forgot about this function, the semicolon, because if you're doing this in the real situation, it kind of goes like this, right? And of course, like I said, every command line needs a semicolon. See, you can kind of leave it like that too. Or you can put that whole thing right in here. But as you can see, right, maybe I should put a space here. There is a way of, I'm going to show, I'm going ahead of myself, but I'm going to show you anyway so you can see better. We're going to do a line break. That's what happens when you're older. Your voice kind of goes away all the time. Let's see. Good. Now you're looking at it. Now what would happen if it was like you had a lot of them? You're going to be like, oh man, I gotta be able to read this better. Well, there's a way of doing it. You could say echo or print echo. Then you say pre. There's the pre-formatting, which I will be talking about that later. And right here, echo. Close it up. You can even put it. Wonder if we can do it all in one shot. But first, let's do this. That's a good experiment. We do it in one shot. See if it'll work. See, let me see. Go like this. Boom. See how you can read it so much better? Because this is pre-formatted. It tells you, oh, please give it to me at this formatted nicely, and this will give it to me better. Instead of having this is much better read. But you can also move this. I'm going to experiment right now, and we're going to move it down here. And hopefully it'll take the whole thing. Let's move this. We don't want to waste. Doesn't really matter, but yeah, yes, there he goes. Is that wonderful? With the pre-format, you can kind of, you know, make it look pretty so you can see it better. Well, that's not fantastic. It's great stuff. So you can type hint your callback function too. Now let's create a function and assign an anonymous function, which you already saw, aka they call it a lambda function, to a variable, and this will become a closure. Remember we were talking about closure a little while ago? Maybe I should just clear this out. Let's save this and let's clean this out over here. All right, good. So what we can do is a closure. I'm going to take a sip of water if you don't mind, guys. Let's quick sip. All right. A closure is also a lambda. They call it lambda. An anonymous function. Okay, that's what a closure. So that may also inherit variables from the parent scope. You know, like the scope that's above the function that you're using, because the whole document itself becomes the outer scope. So it means that it can access a variable defined outside of the scope, which you already saw in 2 examples ago, where it was defined. Remember what I told you, that you could do the $X, or you could use the word use, or you could say global, that kind of thing. Well, anyway, let's invoke the assign variable function, right? And pass the function, and we'll call it. What should we call it? Let's say function. I'm going to say myfunc. I always use that one. And then we're going to say element. It's not the same element that we were using before. This is different now. Let's close it up, and right within here we're going to return the element with we're going to use that same kind of example and multiply it by 2. So let's return, right, and we're going to say $element times 2, right? That's what we're going to do. Semicolon, make sure it's there. All right, so then in this variable, I'm going to create another variable. We're going to call it sum, and we're going to call function. And remember how we talked about how things can be callable? Can you call this function? You can also say, hey, I want this callback function, because here when you call, let me show you. Say callable, you can make this callback function. The callback function means when you return a function to a variable that you can, let me show you, that you can call back, which is a callback function. So you can say $, we're going to call it callback. You'll see what I mean. Remember that what we talked about a few minutes ago, the array underscore map? Then we created a function, and in that map you do the parentheses, but that first parameter, it was the name of a function, or you could have just put that function. That's the callback, because you're calling another function within that function, within the parameter environment area. So we could say callback, comma, I want to make this an integer. We're going to use splat, right? And then we're going to say $, remember that one? And then we're going to, of course, don't forget this, where is it? Boom, boom, chakalaka. Remember this is all one line, right? So again, don't forget that semicolon. And what we want to do is I want to return the callback. So we say $callback. And then we're going to say in parentheses, and this is another one. You know, so I mentioned array underscore map. We have array underscore sum, which we also used much earlier. We could use it here too. We could say array underscore sum, parentheses, say in the parentheses, put $num, did I call it num? Numbers. So you got that one, and that's the next one over, right? Because this is a function, so you got to have those parentheses. This function is creating another function. You got to also make sure you got your start and end parentheses the same way as you have it over here. Okay, so then what you do is you do the semicolon, because it is a line, right? I know it can get crazy. You know something, let's push this over here. In practice, if you're working with a team, keep everything on the separate lines, but because it's me and you can do it, why not? All right, so we go over here, and then you say echo, and you say $sum. Listen, if you do this long enough and you do it a lot, you get to learn it. Then you say, right now you probably understand, oh man, this guy's confusing me, blah, blah, blah. But you know something, the more you look at it, you just go back, look at it again, and you're playing with it. And once you do that, the light bulbs will be turning on you. You'll be like, aha moment, I get it now. And once you do that, you're going to start thinking, wow, what else can I do? So then, this is it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now remember, I'm using, this is the sum, right? This is a function. And this, within that function, we're going to use a function name, which happens to be this whole thing. Let's move this over. Which happens to be this whole thing, right? you're going to use it here as your first parameter. So you're calling a function, which is going to call this function, and you're going to pass on these values. And you say, wow, that's a lot of commas. Well, because this has become a splat. I think this is what's considered a what was the word I was talking about? Variadic functions. So then what happens is it calls it over here. It's telling you, hey, these are going to be numbers, and you're going to put it in this array, and of course you got your splat. So then when you run this guy, it's going to take it the array, right? So this will be the first spot, 0 index 1 2 3 4. In an array, index always starts at 0, right? So if you have 5, it's really, this will be the 4th index. This will be the 0 one. That's how it's done. But you're going to get to learn more about it much later. You're going to see, I see what he was trying to tell me the last, okay, I got it. You'll see. It's going to be fantastic. You're going to understand it. And when we get to that CRUD or crude projects, everything will come together and you'll be like, wow, I can use this for all my projects. I can build a whole bunch of websites using this idea. Because I'm going to give you the templates of it. And all you have to do is change some few things. And I will show you what a lot of things work. I will show you when you add CSS borders around things so you can see where, because remember, all this stuff that's sitting in HTML, it's all within divs. Divs are like boxes, and you got boxes on top of boxes. That's why you see websites with nice, beautiful pictures, words, and stuff like that. But we're going to show you all that. Remember, I'm not gonna waste my time with all kinds of crap. Oh, I'm gonna write this. No, you're gonna learn it the way I do it. You're gonna learn it like if you were sitting right next to me, because that's how I used to teach people all the time. Yeah, I used to get up on top of the board here and write it down on the thing. But I used to give a lot of people aha moments, and I'm gonna give it to you guys too. Now you gotta excuse my voice; it goes away all the time. I am older. I'm in my 60s. I've been at this for a long time. And as you get older, you kind of lose your voice. It becomes old man voice. That's why they call it. That's why they call me the old man PHP. All right, so let's go on with it. Okay, we're gonna run this. So now this function is gonna run this function, which becomes a callback. It's like a function with another function that's actually calling itself back into it. That becomes a closure. So you can't. Because in Java, and I'm pretty sure it will same thing with PHP, but I know in JavaScript when you create a function, it kind of disappears. So that's why you need to always have it in a close, a function enclosing other functions, and that will always stay. It will stay in memory forever until you get rid of it, of course. So let's save this guy and let's run it. Hopefully there's no errors. Boom, 30. See, because I multiply the 2 times this, 2 times 4, 2 times 3, 2 times that, 2 times that, and if you add it together, this is what this does. See this right here? This will add everything together for you, and you get 30. Yeah, it's a little complicated. It's just to explain what closures do, and I will show you more about closures much later, but this is a good way, a good start right now, and you can call each other out, and you're telling it too. You're saying, hey, this is called. In JavaScript, you didn't have to do that. You just have to know when to put that function and how to do it. But in this situation, you just got that keyword callable, that this is callable. Anyway, guys, if you enjoyed this video and you understand something about the functions and a little bit about the closures, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. And this will help grow my channel, and I will get better. The videos, remember, I'm just starting out, Not that great at it, but will. And once I get my other editors, I'll be able to cut and paste and stuff like that, and wording, and add different things to it. So bear with me. You will learn. Guarantee you will learn with me. So on the next video, I will talk more about functions. Until next time, a good night.